Do you think the Browns should take him number 1?
I don't think they should take him number 1, but they need to make people believe that they will take him number 1. Let me give you a quick, and I know it's just recent history, but just a quick example of this. San Francisco last year had no intention whatsoever of selecting Mitchell Trubisky, but they had to at least have the lore that they might. Why? Because then Chicago had to trade up in order to get their guy, and then they moved back one, still got Solomon Thomas, picked up an extra pick. Then they got their guy late in that draft. They had an excellent plan, San Francisco did, because all the options, at least the perception was, were on the table. So Cleveland had better be kicking the tires on Saquon Barkley, because then if someone's fallen in love with him, maybe they think they've got to go all the way up and get him. Now, would I select Saquon Barkley or any running back number 1 overall in the NFL draft? No. No, I wouldn't. The last rushing leader / running back MVP to win the Super Bowl in the same year was this guy's teammate, Terrell Davis, in 1998. It's just a different league. Now you've got to have a real complementary offensive line like Ezekiel Elliott have when we went to the Cowboys, a great offensive line to do damage in your division and ultimately your conference to potentially get to the Super Bowl, which the Cowboys were unable to do, even with Elliott and that historically great offensive line in his rookie season. So to me, it's more about his position with the number 1 pick versus his talent. His talent speaks for itself. It's incredible. This guy is a jitterbug holding a stick of dynamite. You know, I mean, you just don't get to see this combination of speed, power, balance, contribution out of the backfield, catching the football. He really does check all the boxes. He's a terrific leader, a terrific person, and I think whoever selects him, New York Giants, would be very, very happy with that selection.
Interesting. By the way, Terrell Davis was a sixth round draft pick.
Yep.
I just want to get that on the record. Go ahead.
Here's the thing. If I'm the Cleveland Browns, I would only select this young man if he's substantially, significantly better than a quarterback that I like. If it's close, I'm taking the quarterback because the quarterback is too valuable. That is running backs are not foundation piece. They're nice to have, but they're not a foundation piece. You get that guy, you got a chance to win a lot of games. And Cleveland has lost 34 of 35 games. Now, Skip, they have 4 picks in the top 35. Now, if somebody wants to move up, they're in love with one of these quarterbacks, I'll trade down. I'll move back a couple spots if you want. Whoever you want, take them. But here's the thing, Skip. If I got my draft board in this set and Josh Allen's number 1 or Baker Mayfield, I wouldn't take Baker. Let me stop lying. If Josh Allen's number 1.
You said if, though. You did say if.
No, I don't believe Baker will be number 1 on Cleveland board. But if one of these big quarterbacks, the 6'4", 6'5" guys is number 1, I'm taking him, Skip. I'm taking him. And guess what I'll do? I got 4 picks in the top 35. I'll trade with the Giants. Let me get number 2, and then I'll take Barkley. But I think they have nice running backs. I think Isaiah Crowell, and whom they have at Duke Johnson, I think they're more than adequate at running back, Skip.
Pretty good, yeah.
Cleveland, they've got to, Skip. They've got to land a quarterback. They've let 2 go. They had a chance to get Carson Wentz. They let it go. They had a chance to get Deshaun Watson. They let it go. If you don't come out with a quarterback this year, and he's better be ready to play, Skip, everybody's getting fired. They're not going to give Hugh another year. And I believe Hugh is good at what he does. But he's not getting a 4th year if this thing doesn't turn around this year.
That's a fact. So, I'm going on the record again. Saquon Barkley is not Ezekiel Elliott. I don't care what offensive line you put both of them behind. He's just not in that class. Zeke is up in here somewhere. He was so extraordinary at the end of the year, his second to last year at Ohio State. When in the Big Ten championship game against Wisconsin, he goes for 220, and then against St. Nick's defense in the national semifinal, 230. This is Ezekiel Elliott I'm talking about. National championship game, Oregon, 246. It's like boom, boom, and boom. He just keeps taking it up. These are extraordinary numbers by an extraordinarily gifted running back, a life changer behind any offensive line. He is going to gash defenses. And Saquon, he goes to the combine, and he lit it up sort of like Josh Allen lit it up. You know, he's all the measurables. He runs 4.4, that's second best among running backs. He bench presses 29 times to tie Nick Chubb for the most of running backs, and then he verticals 41 inches, which was the best among running backs.
To put that in perspective, Joe Thomas, who's probably going to go to the Hall of Fame,
he will.
Did it 28 times.
28 times, okay? So this is extraordinary. I'm going to remind everybody again, Emmitt Smith ran 4.6 at the combine because Emmitt Smith had football speed. I'm going to remind everybody.
225 10 times.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure he could go double digits. We'd have to look that up, but I'm not sure about that because he never was in great upper body shape. But it didn't matter. Nope. Antonio Brown ran 4.59. Let's just give it 4.6 at the combine. Antonio Brown, he's lightning.
Yeah.
He can run past anybody, and he's got quickness and deep speed because it's football speed, and you can't sort of figure it out. It doesn't translate into a 40-yard dash.
How about this, Skip? And you covered this guy. Now, he could run fast, but he wasn't a workout warrior. He might have did it 5. He might have not even bitched. Marshall Faulk.
Yeah.
You look at Marshall Faulk. I remember when I first saw him at the Pro Bowl. I was like, this dude.
What?
You? Built
Lightning.
like that?
You're the one they're talking about?
And
Lightning.
Dude would juke you, would run past you, and could
put him on that turf in St. Louis. It was not fair what was happening.
Let's not just fall under the assumption that Barkley's just fast. Because, I mean, this guy on the field, he has all those things.
Yeah, he checks all the boxes.
He will make you
fast,
miss.
powerful.
He can catch it out of the backfield. He is not a one-trick pony. Now, I'll agree with you. He's not Elliott. I don't think he's your Todd Gurley, Leonard Fournette, give it to you 28, 30 times. If you go back to his numbers at Penn State, there was only twice last year that he carried the ball north of 20 times in a game.
Yeah, okay.
21 and 28. One of them was against Ohio State. He averaged under 3 yards per carry.
He had 44 total yards.
3 times last year, he averaged under 3 yards per carry. I don't think he's your workhorse. Let's just put it like this. He's probably more Christian McCaffrey than he is Leonard Fournette.
I agree with that. I'm with you. Because what happened against Ohio State? He runs back the opening kickoff. It was electric, man.
But then
44 yards happened.
Yeah, it was so.
And for the most part, now everybody uses a 2-back system.
That's right.
Nobody is the bell cow where they're getting Adrian Peterson-type numbers.
Right.
They're carrying the ball 300, 350 times.
So he can contribute.
Right.
But the number 1 pick now, John Elway, remember right before they drafted Von Miller, and that was, I believe, just the 2nd pick. It was the first time Denver had selected that high, maybe ever. And it was one of John's first
I think 1990, you got Mike Kroll with the 4th pick overall.
That's right, inside the top
91.
5. So what happened is John said, listen, you got to select a Hall of Famer up here.
Yeah.
In this air, right? In this air.
Yeah.
At number 1, that was number 2. Now we're talking about Cleveland at number 1, right? Do you take Saquon Barkley? Not only do you need a guy that could potentially go to the Hall of Fame or be in that category, you've got to change your franchise for a decade. If you've got the number 1 pick, you better change. There's only 3 ways.
He's got to be a perennial Pro Bowler, Skip. He's got to be a perennial Pro Bowler. When you get that high, Skip, you get top 5, 6, 7. Because remember, you're talking about that draft 2011. The first pick was Cam, MVP. Von Miller was 2. Darius, Pat Peterson, A.J. Green, Julio Jones. That was your top 6 picks.
Great players.
And by the way, I'm going to say it again because I give John high credit for this because we blast him on his quarterback picks because they've been terrible. But I did not see this Von Miller, and I watched a whole bunch of A&M on television that year, and he did not leap off my screen, and he started leaping when he became a pro.
Well, John worked him out and said he's the closest thing to Derek Thomas that I've ever seen.
Yeah. Guess who saw a lot of Derek Thomas? John Elway in that division back then. There's only 3 ways you change your organization for a decade in the National Football League. Only 3. Get the quarterback right. That's a number 1. Trade, like we saw so many teams do in terms of building up their roster with that number 1 pick, or pass rusher.
Yep.
I don't think anything else changes your organization for a decade.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.